Welcome back to The Healthy Beauty on 1380 The Woman. I'm your host, Sonia Shin, and Kathy Bratkowski is hosting with me today. And now we're going to be talking about teens and weight loss with the renowned weight loss coach, Charles D'Angelo. He's the author of Think and Grow Thin, a bestseller diet and weight loss system that is touted to change your life in 88 days. Charles, how are you doing?
Hey, guys. How are you guys doing? I'm doing
Charles.
great.
Good, good. It's good to have you on the show. Thanks for being on the show.
It's my pleasure. How are you both doing today?
Good,
really
good.
Good.
Really
Kathy, good to hear your voice again.
Yeah. We've really good to hear your voice. I was telling Sonia about our experience.
Yeah, and so you Charles has worked with your son.
He did.
Nick?
He worked with my son. He worked with my son Nick a few years ago, and so we wanted to talk today about some of your work with younger people and teens and how that how you can help them, because I think you had some personal experiences with losing weight at a certain time of your life, right, Charles? That you were a little younger.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was 16, 17 years old. I weighed 360 pounds. The things most people take for granted, like tying my shoes, making up a flight of stairs, asking a young lady out on a date, those things were impossibilities to me because of my own self-limiting beliefs. I had bought into this idea that I wish things would get better. I wish that the world would be different. I wish people would treat me differently, when the answer was that if I wanted things to be different, I had to be different.
Right.
I had to take responsibility and really reclaim my life and take control of what I could control if I wanted the things outside of myself to change. And that's what I teach people to do, no matter if it's a young child, if it's a teenager, if it's a young adult aspiring to have a career in whatever industry they're pursuing, or if it's a person who's battled this issue back and forth all their life. The issue is all the same. You have to realize that if you want your life to be different, you have to change. Things aren't going to change. We know that night follows day, and day follows night. We know the seasons, fall follows summer, and winter follows fall, and spring follows winter. There's things in this world that are just natural. I mean, it's the way God set things up. So you've got to understand the situations, the way things are in life, most certainly are not going to change. There are always going to be stressors. There's always going to be difficulties. And speaking to the adolescent situation that I was a part of, there's always going to be bullies. There's always going to be people out there that no matter what you do are going to have some personal issue that they take issue with you, and thereby can complicate your life if you let it. So I teach people, don't try to get rid of the bully. Don't try to get rid of the difficulty outside of yourself. Make yourself better, make yourself stronger, and take charge of your own life, thereby creating a reality that you're really just passionate and in love with.
Well, I think I saw a quote from you, something about, having the life you deserve, which is a great lesson to teach adolescents, and people at that age, and something they carry with them their whole lives, hopefully into other areas of their lives as well, that you deserve to have a good life, and you can control this part of your life to make it better.
And you don't need a pill. You don't need a drug. You don't need some magical DVD or exercise program. And I always tell people, if any of those things were the answer, I don't think that we'd have the obesity epidemic that we now have. For the first time ever, we have children that are reporting cases of type 2 diabetes. Children as young as 8, 9, 10 years old. And this was an illness that most often people didn't experience till much later in life, and they were far more sedentary. So we have an epidemic that's out of control, in essence, because children aren't as active as they used to be. The foods that they're eating, the genie's been unleashed when it comes to food. I mean, with salt, sugar, and fat being changed and essentially chemically used in our foods in such a way to make our bodies long for those things once you give in to it, the genie's out of the bottle. So you've really got to learn how to disconnect from the emotion that people attach to food. And that's what I was falling victim to. I would go to school, and being a different type of boy, I was a young boy who was interested in music rather than sports. I was interested in reading rather than young ladies. I was not the stereotypical adolescent teen. And so many kids today fall into that category. Their interests may not be what the norms are for their peers. And rather than try to change themselves and take control of themselves and really magnify the greatness within themselves, they put themselves down, or they distract themselves using food. At least that's what I did. I had every reason to go home and feel bad about the day, at least I believed I did, because after all, everyone was putting me down all day. I didn't have any friends. When in reality, if I would have changed my own philosophy, if I would have realized, look, there are things about myself that are great. I can add value to other people's lives. I have God-given gifts, and if I'm willing to put myself out there, despite having been hurt earlier in life, you know what? The environment will change if I change. But I withdrew, like most kids do. And when you withdraw, usually that only really escalates the situation. So when I pulled back, thinking that it was me that was the problem, the bullies, the kids that I was dealing with, they interpreted that as me thinking I was better than them. Just the opposite of the truth of how I felt.
Yeah.
But that's what happens. When you withdraw and you don't open that bridge of communication and you don't put yourself out there, you oftentimes just intensify the problem. So I started eating, and by the time I was 17 years old, I weighed 360 pounds.
Yeah. I think you can hear how Charles really does understand that whole adolescent experience of feeling different, which is what kids have, even if they're just a little bit overweight. I mean, my son Nick, he wasn't hugely overweight. He's tall, and he was doing athletics and stuff, but he wanted to lose. I think he ended up losing like 35, 40 pounds.
Wow.
And here's what he's learned from Charles is how to keep it off.
Yeah.
How to go, okay.
So important.
Oh, I mean, what a life lesson. I mean, like any other kid, he'll go out, he'll have pizza, whatever, and if he sees his weight start to creep up a little, he's like, okay, I want to do Team Charles this week. That's our code word. I'm like, okay, I know what that means. That means grilled chicken and broccoli, and we're on it. And that's all fine with all the rest of us too, and so he knows how to bring that back in control.
And I always tell people, you don't, especially if you have a young child, if you're a mom that has a child that struggles with their weight, you want to help your child come to accept him or herself. I was put down in all sorts of ways. Even I was called gay. And I went to a Catholic school. So identity is such an integral part of those formative years of really discovering who you are. And when you're in an environment where you're told you're worthless or you don't fit in, if you own that, if you start to really come to believe that, if you make that your identity, that's what you tend to live out. So the first thing that a person has to come to terms with is you are not your behaviors. It doesn't matter that you made some bad choices. Just because you've made bad choices doesn't mean you're a bad person or that's who you are. Or just because you're carrying around a little extra fat or you're so-called what people say is chubby or as when I was growing up, husky. That's not who you are. But as soon as you start to think I'm a fat kid or I'm a fat person, if you're an adult, the most powerful thing in psychology is our sense of our own identity. So that which we believe we are is that what we act on. We have to stay true to the identity we give ourselves. So what you've got to do is define who you really are. And what you want to do as a parent is you want to really accentuate all the great things about your child. You want your child to feel awesome about everything. And that time is a time that's a very delicate and very discovery-centered time where a person's really coming to terms with where they are. And today, there's so much out there. People have gotten away from the values of life. We've gotten away from what really matters is spending time with the people we love. Now, people are in a state of distraction. I mean, heck, I have a nephew that knows how to use an iPad, and he's like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah, that's
very common, yeah.
So, I mean, it's excellent that technology is around us, but we don't want our lives to become so distracted that we lose touch with what's important. And distraction certainly doesn't lead to fulfillment. If you really want to feel good, you got to know who you are, and you got to act in accordance with who you are. You don't want other people to define you. And if you're a young person listening to this, and you're saying to yourself, "Yeah, Charles, it's great that you lost all that weight and have kept it off and helped others, but you don't understand. My situation is different." It's true. Your situation may be different, but the truth is, if I have done it, if I've helped thousands of people, including Nick, who's Kathy's son, do it, if you'll use the same strategies, if you'll use the same methods, you can get the same result. It's just like a recipe. I mean, success, I always say, leaves clues. So you find out who has got where you want to go, who has the type of health, the type of body, the type of physical fitness that you want, and all you have to do is learn and model their strategies. Because if they follow a set of rules, and you learn those rules, and you're as consistent and as motivated and as passionate about following those as that person is, you thereby can have the same outcome that that person has. So one step is you got to learn the strategy, but you got to know that it's possible first. So what my work with anyone is first when a person comes in is helping them get clear on where they are. That is, look, yes, you're overweight. So you're 17 and you have 100 pounds to lose. Or you're 55 and you've gained and lost 100 pounds 5 times over. just because that's a pattern, it doesn't mean that's who you are.
Mm-hmm.
What you've got to do is get clear on, look, I am not my choices. I have made some poor choices that have not been the most effective for me, and I'm in a place in my life, the path I'm on is not leading me to where I want to go.
Yeah.
So you've got to get clear on where you are in order to get to where you want to go. And once you make that distinction and you say, the path is not who I am, it's just the path I've chosen, I can change my path, change my choices, and thereby change my destination, it's unbelievably empowering. For some people, they're taken aback. They say, you don't get it, Charles. You know, this is, I have a genetic predisposition to being fat. Yeah, that might be true. But we also know that you have the capability and the possibility to be able to change it.
Yeah.
We know that if you change your choices, that you can change the outcome. People sometimes get so attached to the script, so attached to the story they have for explaining away the way they are, that it almost feels like a loss if they were to try anything different.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they love the idea of being able to tell people all about their problems.
Yeah.
I mean, I was one of them. You have this thing that automatically gives you sympathy, gives you attention, and you can feel loved by it. Because if you tell somebody how bad it is, I don't know about you, but I've been in a lot of places, and you hear two people that are talking about, my problem's worse than yours. Oh, no, mine's much worse than that. Oh, no. And it's this back and forth game.
Yeah.
Why not just make your life the way you want it by taking control and taking responsibility of the choices you're making every day and create a future that, as Kathy said earlier, that you really deserve, one that you're excited by.
Now, if you're just joining us, we're speaking with renowned weight loss coach Charles D'Angelo about teens and weight loss. If you have any questions or comments, you can call us at 314-969-1380. You can also text us at 314-699-0743. That's 699-0743. Charles, when you're approaching weight loss with a child or a young person or a teen, is there something different than when it's an adult?
I mean, it's not even is there something different for a child. Is there something different for everyone? Now, I think that the best metaphor that I've ever been able to come up with to explain the success that I have with so many people, and I've been blessed to help people that are assembly line workers. I help steel workers. I help national-level politicians. I help famous movie actors and actresses. I help people from all walks of life. So the best metaphor that I've found to explain how all these different people that I've been blessed and honored to have the privilege to counsel and coach have achieved what they've wanted to achieve is this. I say success is a three-legged stool when it comes to weight loss. One leg of the stool is, of course, healthy eating. So if it's a child, you've got to make sure that you have an appropriate, healthy plan of foods that are going to be convenient for them, that are going to be accessible to them, that are going to be things that they actually find palatable and that taste good. And it's always something I encourage people to do. Involve your doctor. So many people are fearful. I know I was as a child of going to the doctor, standing on that dreaded scale, and then being berated by my mom and dad on the way home, saying, you know, the doctor said you need to lose weight. You're going to start eating vegetables tonight.
Yeah.
So I avoided the doctor at all costs. But the doctor's there to help you. And when I work with clients, I have every single client, I encourage every single one to involve their physician. You know, let your doctor know that you're making the effort to really reclaim your health because they can offer some insights knowing you and knowing your whole health picture, and especially if you're helping a child. A child's biochemistry and their situation is a little different than an adult because they're still developing. So you've got to have a healthy leg of eating in place. You've got to have also a leg of exercise. For children, specifically, you've got to make it fun. You've got to make it something they're going to enjoy and they're not going to find boring. So you can come up with a lot of different things. There's places here in town locally, if you're in St. Louis, like called Sky Zone, right? This big trampoline place out in Chesterfield that you can go out to. And for a couple hours, kids are jumping all around, burning all sorts of calories, having a good time. And if they need a little bit more accountability or a little more coaching or a mentor or a role model, you can always recruit a young person, either a male or a female, as a personal trainer for that kid. So you get somebody that's going to be real hands-on, that's young like them, that's maybe a couple years older. Maybe your son or daughter doesn't have an older sibling. And now you recruit this trainer who's in his early 20s or late teens, and he serves to be, you know, it's not dad or mom telling him anymore.
It's a good role model.
But it's a good role model, right? Because if you have someone and your son or daughter looks up to that person, I know this happens a lot with me, with those that I counsel, and they look at me because I'm still relatively young, getting older as the days go on, but I still appear young enough that they can look at me as that older brother or someone that really cares, and that if I was able to do it, then so are they. So having that role model that helps them with the exercise part, keeping them consistent, keeping it entertaining, keeping it fun, and making it to them just a part of their day or a part of their week is really important. So you got the first leg of the healthy eating, you have the second leg of the stool, which is the exercise. Now the third leg, and what really holds all this together, and what my work is all about, is the right mindset. It's really developing that muscle of discipline so that you're totally consistent with healthy eating and exercise, so that no matter what the circumstances, no matter if you have some type of tragedy in your family, or if you're a child and you have a test coming up, or you're going away to college.
Because there's always something, right?
There's always going to be stressors. A great teacher once told me, he said, Charles, your philosophy and your attitude are kind of like this, they set the sails for where you're going in life. The winds of life, the challenges, the storms are always going to come. But your personal philosophy, your attitude, your mindset is the set of the sails. In other words, we know that no matter what boat you're on, the wind's going to be blowing.
Yeah.
That doesn't make the difference. What makes the difference is how are your sails set. So you've got to have the right mindset to get yourself to where you want to go, because there's no question there's going to be challenges. I mean, the history of the world is that. You're going to have a lot of great times. You're going to have a lot of expansive times where the economy is just booming and rocking. You're going to have times like when President Clinton was in office, when things are just growing, the economy's doing great, and that type of expansion is followed by a recession. So there's always this pattern of back and forth in life. You have, you get a new job, you get in there, you're all excited, and then you find this coworker that you don't really hit it off with. Right. So there's always this push-pull. You've got to anticipate that. I mean, that's just the way life is. So that's why I tell people you can't expect the way life is to change, but you can know that you can change.
Yeah.
And by you changing, your whole situation can change. So when I work with a person, we set up a food plan that's very helpful for them. We set up an exercise program they can be consistent with. But our work really focuses on not breaking the agreement that they have with themselves to keep with whatever program they've chosen to follow.
Yeah.
Because that's where people fall short. It's that they get very good, quite skillful, at explaining away making bad choices. And it usually starts almost unconsciously. It's, tonight, instead of eating what I've been planning to eat, I'm going to do this, which is kind of like what I would usually do. And they take that 1 millimeter step off. Well, if you follow that millimeter out, 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years out, they're so far off the mark that they originally intended. They're not anywhere close to what they wanted.
Yeah.
So what you've got to do is you've got to get back to track with keeping the agreements you set with yourself. So people sometimes find it a little offsetting or off-putting when I say, look, once you decide what you're going to have for dinner, that's what you do for 2 weeks. Yeah. And they say, well, why can't I have something else? It's just as healthy. Yes, it's true. That's right. It is just as healthy. But it's not the agreement you made with yourself. You've got to build that discipline muscle. And by holding yourself consistent, where food doesn't take on that emotional meaning it once did, it makes it so easy that when you are confronted with something in life that's challenging or that would typically set you off, you've built yourself this routine, this almost ritual that you've done so often that you're not put off by what happens anymore.
Yeah,
in fact, you find a lot of solace and a lot of you find yourself far more comforted by having the certainty that you're in control of your health because you're in control of your habits.
Lots of good tips there, Charles.
Great. Yeah.
We've been speaking with Charles D'Angelo, the renowned weight loss coach, about teens and weight loss. Any final tips for teens or parents that are battling the weight challenge?
Yes, I think one thing is this, and this is what I want to make clear to everyone listening, is that no matter how many times you've tried, no matter what programs you've done or haven't done, no matter how many times you've lost weight only to gain it back, today can be an entirely new day for you if you'll change your philosophy, if you'll shift the way you think about food and you shift the way you think about exercise. It does not matter how old you are. If you're a young person and you've been bullied and put down and you're questioning who you are as an individual, I mean, I have teenagers all the time that sit across the desk from me and break down in tears, and they put up this tough front for so long, and they finally just let it crack when they come to my office, and they can't hold it back anymore. They've just got so much emotion built up. And maybe you're an adult in your relationship interpersonally with your significant other is suffering, or maybe you're a person at work that you're tired of the dirty looks. Look, you can make your life entirely different if you'll adopt a new set of strategies, a new way of living, taking responsibility for yourself, taking responsibility for where you're at. Be real with yourself. Admit to yourself, look, I'm in a place I'm not happy with. when you know where you are and you know where you want to go, the only thing between you and that point is the map that you're going to follow to get there. And if you're looking for that map, if you're looking for a role model, if you're looking for strategies to do that, I can do that for you. There's people there's no lack of information.
And your book, Think and Grow Thin.
Sure, yeah, Think and Grow Thin. It has the exact map that's helped thousands of people to get rid of all sorts of issues, from type 2 diabetes, their doctors able to totally eliminate all their medications, hypertension, teenagers that have not had the confidence, the courage, the ambition, the drive that they wanted to totally tap into all of those things, because for the first time ever they've seen that by taking responsibility and taking control of their choices, they have a direct impact on their situation. There's two things that make a person feel really depressed. It's that when they feel that their situation is permanent, and when they feel that there's nothing they can do to change it.
No control, yeah.
And those are the two things that really give a person a reason to feel depressed. And here's what I'm here to tell you. There is nothing that's permanent that you can't change.
Nice.
No illness, no situation, no relationship. Everything in your life can be changed. You're not some fixed object.
Yeah.
God's gifted you, and let me say that clearly. God has gifted you with the ability to change your circumstances. And if you don't have it within your circle, in your head, to be able to do that, pick up a book and look for the information. If that doesn't have it, then ask yourself, who do I need to talk to that does have the information?
And how do people, if people want to work with you, how do they reach you?
They can reach me at my office at 314-495-3228. That's 314-495-3228. Or just go to my website. It's Charles D'Angelo. That's DANGELO.com, CharlesD'Angelo.com. And there's a multitude of videos, of audio recordings of me talking, of different clients. There's all sorts of things that you can do. And all I want people to know is there's no reason to give up hope. God has a plan for you. You do have a purpose to be on this planet. You have a purpose for listening to this audio right now. And what you're meant to do is take action. Make your life the way you deserve it to be. I'd be honored. I'd feel privileged to have the opportunity to touch your life and to help you do that. And just definitely know that whatever you want to create in your life, you can if you'll really step up and take control and take responsibility.
Wonderful. Charles D'Angelo, thank you so much for all these great
Charles.
It's my pleasure, ladies. And everyone that also tune in if you're in St. Louis to Channel 5 every Tuesday. You can see me there, too. I do Show Me St. Louis. I do Transformation Tuesdays where I share tips and weight loss strategies and success stories of people that have worked with me that will really inspire you as well.
Great.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much, Charles.
All right, ladies. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Talk soon. You guys, and tell Nick I said hi, Kathy.
I will.
All right. I'll talk to you guys later.
Take care. Lots of good tips.
Lots of good tips.